Hey everybody, what up? Pop Daddy here, and I am coming to you on this second weekend in February with my rankings of the movies of 2022. Usually I wait for that burn period through January to finally give my rankings to make sure that I've seen everything streaming, seeing as most releases are in December of good movies. And so I thought I would give you guys a ranking of all the movies I've seen of 2022. I'm going to do it a bit differently. This isn't a countdown like I did last year. This is a tiered ranking. If you've seen those brackets online with the different gradings, that's what I'm doing. So I thought about doing a numbered ranking, but the thing is, I had too much of a problem deciding what should be last place and what should be first place. So I'm going to give you this ranking, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. And I will explain what the rankings are first, or the scorings are first. Okay, first we have Awesome Film, AF. These are movies that I thoroughly enjoyed that weren't just entertaining, but they were also great films, great movies, things I would watch again and again, things that if they're nominated for Oscars, I truly believe that they would deserve them. Then next tier down, the scoring of good movies / good times. These are movies you can put on, you can watch, be like, I really like that. I really enjoyed that. That was a good movie. Or you can have a bunch of friends over and be like, this is a good time. I'm enjoying this. Stuff like that. So a lot of the highly entertaining movies are going to be in that tier, the good time tier. Next tier, we have E, entertaining. These are movies that aren't bad, but they're not good either. These are like, you can watch and be like, I didn't hate it. Or that wasn't too bad. These are movies that you can put on and you don't feel like you were ripped off. Next tier down, we've got TK / BF for time killer / background filler. These are not movies you watch. These are movies that you put on while you do something else. You'll look over once in a while, go back to doing it, look over once in a while, don't feel like you've missed anything. You don't really get sucked in. It's just a movie to have on in the background. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And finally, our final tier is the bottom tier, and that is not worth it. What is it not worth? Not worth your time, not worth your money. If you buy the DVD, it is not worth the space. It is not worth the data it takes up. It is not worth the brain power it takes to process the movie. Let's get started in January 2022. Okay, we are stumbling right out of the gate here. This January release was the first review I did of 2022, and this video was actually the first video I did to cross 100 views, and that is Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild. Now, I love Simon Pegg a lot, but not even he could save this. This movie was a desperately rough watch. Now on to February. First things first, we have Jackass Forever, and this one I'm going to put in G for good time, good movie. This is one where Jackass was one of those things where I was sort of the right age to enjoy it, but when the movie started coming out, I was like, that's immature. Watching this, having realized that, those guys grew up, and this is like them coming back together and getting together one more time, and they kind of got old, and it's kind of sad, because, you can tell that some of the punches kind of hurt. It feels like a nice big warm blanket around you. That it's good to see these guys still together. It's still good to see them laughing together. It was good to see Johnny and all of them together again. And I like this movie. Next, released the same weekend, is Moonfall, the Patrick Wilson, Halle Berry sci-fi movie about going inside the moon. And man, this is a NWI, not worth it at all. I groaned and rolled my eyes so many times during the movie. It reminded me of that Mr. Show sketch where they wanted to blow up the moon because they could. I thought about that so many times during this movie. It was a sad movie. Not worth it. Coming up next is Uncharted, also released in February. And this one, we're going 2 for 2 here on the not worth it. So far, 75% of the movies that have been listed are not worth it. Not a good sign. Tom Holland comes off really unlikable in this movie. And I knew in the beginning when it takes place 15 years earlier, and they have like a 16-year-old playing a Tom Holland who is currently in his mid-20s. I just didn't care for this movie. And Tom Holland is so unlikable. I feel bad because he's great as Spider-Man and other roles that I've seen him in, but he's trying to be like more like a slow talking one. And at one point they bring up Indiana Jones. Don't bring up better movies in the middle of your terrible movie. Mark Wahlberg was charming in this. I get the feeling if he had played Nathan Drake, it would have been slightly better. Uncharted, not worth it. Next in February was the Hulu exclusive No Exit, starring Dennis Haysbert. This one is actually entertaining. It's a slow burn, and you have to be focused because there are a certain number of plot twists and things you have to pay attention to. I thought I was going to not like this movie, but I enjoyed it. The only two actors that I really recognized from it were Dennis Haysbert and Dale Dickey. So it was a decent movie. It was a Hulu exclusive, I believe, but not the last on our list. Moving on to March, we have our first comic book movie on there, and that is The Batman. And The Batman I would put under G for good movie. This one was entertaining. I'm enjoying the new Batman. I think Robert Pattinson did a great job. It was a fresh take after so many different takes. It was weird to see this type of Batman, but I liked it. He really amped up the detective work in this one, which is something I love about Batman. In the Arkham games, I always loved when you had to go into detective mode and solve stuff. I prefer Detective Batman over Fighty Batman, but that's just me. So The Batman, good movie. The Adam Project. Now, if you remember, I had a poll during the day before I viewed this, asking what movie should I watch and review, and this was the winner of that poll. And this was the last movie and video that I had made before Pop Baby was born. And I'm putting this under Time Killer because Ryan Reynolds is playing his Ryan Reynolds self. The kid is a little jerk, but he's perfect as a little Ryan Reynolds. I didn't hate this movie, but I really didn't like it. And the loser of that poll is Disney Pixar's Turning Red. Now, this one is our first amazing film of the list here, and I really, really enjoyed this film. I don't know if it's because I'm a Disney Pixar fan, or it's because I'm a father with a daughter and knowing that she might go through stuff like this one day, where she doesn't care for her parents and becomes boy crazy. But I really enjoyed this movie, and it also hit me right in the feels about family tradition and, what you want, what's best for your child may not be what's best at all. Finally, we're 2 for 2 here, coming with you with Everything Everywhere All at Once. And this one, another amazing film. I'm really hoping this wins the Oscar for Best Picture. Ke Huy Quan, definite, hopefully shoo-in for Best Supporting Actor. I worked with him a few years ago. He's a great guy. This movie gives you all the feels. At one moment you're laughing, at the next you're crying, and let me tell you, amazing film. You will never look at hot dogs the same way again. On to April. Now, we only have one film for April, and that is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now, this movie is a time killer / background filler. In fact, when I was had this on, that's what I was doing, because this movie didn't grab me. It was neat seeing Sonic. It was neat seeing Tails and Knuckles. Jim Carrey giving it his all. Idris Elba was great as Knuckles, by the way. I always assumed that Knuckles would sound like a cockier Sonic, but Idris Elba does a great job. He's more like a Dave Bautista Sonic. Dave Bautista as Drax Sonic. On to May, we have our first Marvel movie, which is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This one is going in good movie. I'm a huge Sam Raimi fan, a huge Doctor Strange fan, and this one was just good. It's not winning any awards, but you will have a good time if you're watching it, especially if you're a comic book fan. Definitely check it out. Next, we have 3 movies that were released all on the same weekend, and they are all over the place. First things first, we have Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Now, this is a good movie. I couldn't in good conscience put this on Amazing Film, but I really dug this movie, and I loved every second of it, all the references, everything like that. Hey, Sonic even shows up. It's not the same Sonic, but it's Sonic. So, yeah, check that one out. Okay, this was also Memorial Day weekend, and there was the Bob's Burgers movie. I'm a huge Bob's Burgers fan. It's probably one of my favorite cartoons. I think it's currently the funniest cartoon on TV. And this one I gave a just entertaining. I might have felt differently had I seen it in the theater. But if you are a Bob's Burgers fan, I think some of them agree that this adventure would have done fine being a 2-parter on TV. So Bob's Burgers, just entertaining. Here is the big dog of the year, and that is Top Gun Maverick. And that one is flying right to the danger zone. That is A for amazing film. I really enjoyed this film. This movie hit all the nostalgia steps, but did it the right way, so the callbacks weren't groan-inducing or eye-rolling. I liked this film. I really enjoyed this film. I don't like Tom Cruise, but he is so likable as Maverick. Val Kilmer does a great job too. Miles Tellers does an amazing job. He was also on The Offer, which was one of my favorite shows last year. So Top Gun Maverick, amazing film. On to June. Speaking of nostalgic movies that try and hit all the steps, we have Jurassic Park Dominion. And this one is going in time killer / background filler. Now, this was almost in not worth it and almost in entertaining. But two certain things kept them from being in either category. Plot and the sort of nostalgia that they tried to shoehorn in kept it from being entertaining. And Jeff Goldblum kept it from being in not worth it. Let me tell you, he was in a totally different movie, and I was all for it. I wish we could have seen the movie that he was in, because he was like the us watching the movie, like, oh, you made a promise to a dinosaur. He did great, and I really liked seeing him. Seeing him and Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler was great also. But at one point in the movie, I looked and I was like an hour 20 in, and there was still an hour 20 left, and I was just like, ugh. Next is the next Disney Pixar film on our list, and that is Lightyear. Now, this movie I'm putting under E for entertaining. There is something at the beginning of the movie that totally sideswipes this for me. It says that in 1995, a boy named Andy saw this movie and got a Buzz Lightyear doll, which was from his favorite movie. This is that movie. And I cannot see Andy liking that movie or requesting, of all the characters in the movie, him requesting the Buzz Lightyear. The cat is awesome. I forget the cat's name. But I can't see a kid like Andy, I can't see this movie keeping his attention. This is more of a serious sci-fi movie. It would have worked way better if it was like a mid-90s sci-fi movie with the cheesy one-liners and over-the-top special effects. It's more like a time travel maroon story. It was just okay, so that's what entertaining is for. Now from the middle, we go right to the top again with Elvis. This is an amazing movie. Austin Butler does a great job. Tom Hanks does a great job. I was raised in an Elvis household. My dad was an Elvis fan. My mom was an Elvis fan. Most of my family were Elvis fans. I was not an Elvis fan. But I really enjoy this movie. The music's great. It brings the feels. And this movie enjoys all the awards it can get, aside from Best Picture, because hopefully Everything Everywhere All at Once gets that one. Now, hey everyone, Pop Daddy here, coming to you from the editing room. Sorry for the lateness of this video, and sorry that now I'm going to have to tell you that it's in two parts, and this is part one. I'll upload part two soon enough. But this video I filmed 2 weeks ago, and I had over 60 minutes of footage, and I had to cut all that to get it down as low as I could, which turned out to be 24 minutes, and dividing that into two, so two 12-minute episodes, roughly 12 minutes. I was saying a lot of things like, or this movie was very entertaining. I was entertained by it. Or you could put this in to be a time killer or background filler. Pretty much me explaining what was happening. So I'm sorry. Thank you for watching. Please drop a like and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys watching. And I'll try and get part two loaded sometime soon, along with my full Viennetta review and my smoked cheese how-to video. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you soon. Peace.